I was standing in the marble lobby of First National Bank when I saw her. My daughter-in-law, Brittany, wearing that ridiculous silk headscarf she'd taken to wearing lately, was at the counter handing over paperwork to the teller. My hand tightened around Detective Chen's arm. "That's her," I whispered. The bank manager, Mr. Rodriguez, gave us a slight nod from his office. We'd coordinated this perfectly. Brittany thought I was at my book club in Chestnut Hill. She thought she had another hour before I'd even know the money was gone. She thought wrong. 3 weeks of investigation, $8,000 to a private detective, and countless sleepless nights had led to this moment. My life savings, $340,000 that my late husband Tom and I had built over 40 years, was about to disappear into an account I'd never authorized, all for a cancer treatment that didn't exist, for a cancer she didn't have. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up. It started 6 months ago when my son David called me on a Tuesday evening. I remember it was Tuesday because I was making my pot roast, the one Tom always loved, the one I still make every Tuesday out of habit even though he's been gone 3 years now. "Mom, can we come over?" David's voice sounded tight, strained in a way that made my stomach drop. "Of course, honey. Is everything okay?" We need to talk. We'll be there in 20 minutes. I turned off the stove and waited, my mind running through possibilities. Marriage trouble? Financial problems? Something with the baby? Little Mason was only 14 months old. When they arrived, Brittany's eyes were red, and David looked like he'd aged 10 years since I'd seen him at Sunday dinner just 4 days earlier. They sat on my couch, the same couch where David had done his homework as a kid, where Tom and I had watched him grow up. "Mom," David started, then his voice broke. Brittany took his hand. "I have breast cancer," Brittany said quietly. "Stage 3. We found out last week." The world tilted. I heard myself making the appropriate sounds, gasping, expressing shock, asking questions. But even in that moment, something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it then. Maybe it was a mother's instinct. Maybe it was my 40 years as an accountant, trained to spot inconsistencies in numbers, in stories, in people. "The doctor wants to start aggressive treatment immediately," David continued. "Chemotherapy, then surgery, then radiation. The whole thing. Your insurance," I started. "That's the problem." Brittany dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "David's new insurance from the job switch hasn't kicked in yet, and my policy from the salon has a massive deductible. We're looking at out-of-pocket costs of at least $150,000, maybe more." I felt the blood drain from my face. David had just started a new position as a senior software engineer at a tech startup in King of Prussia. Good salary, but new employee insurance had a waiting period. And Brittany had worked part-time at a high-end salon in Rittenhouse Square before Mason was born, keeping minimal coverage. "We've applied for financial assistance programs," David said quickly. "But they take time. Mom, the doctor says we can't wait. Every week we delay." He didn't finish. He didn't have to. "Of course," I heard myself say. "Whatever you need. Whatever it takes." And that's how it started. The first request was for $25,000. "Just to get the treatment started," Brittany explained. "The hospital requires payment up front for the first round of chemo." I transferred it that same week. Then another $15,000 for specialized medication that her oncologist recommended. "It's not covered by any insurance," Brittany told me over coffee at my kitchen table, Mason playing with blocks at our feet. "But it cuts the side effects in half. The doctor says it'll help me stay strong for Mason." How could I say no to that? Then, $20,000 for a clinical trial at Penn Medicine that showed promising results for her specific type of cancer. Then $12,000 for holistic treatments to supplement the chemo. Then $18,000 for surgery preparations. I wrote the checks. I made the transfers. I was hemorrhaging my retirement savings, but this was my daughter-in-law, the mother of my grandson, David's wife. What else would I do? But then the small things started adding up. It was week 8 when I first noticed Brittany's hair. We were at my house for Sunday dinner, a tradition I'd insisted on maintaining because family needs to stick together, especially now. Brittany came out of my bathroom after using it, and I saw her adjust her headscarf in the hallway mirror. Her hair underneath looked thick, healthy, not the thin, fragile hair of someone 8 weeks into aggressive chemotherapy. "I thought chemo made your hair fall out," I said casually, setting the table. Not always, she said quickly. Some people keep their hair. I'm one of the lucky ones. The doctor says my hair follicles are just resilient. Possible, I thought. Unusual, but possible. Then there was the appointment schedule. Brittany said she had chemo every Tuesday and Thursday. But when I offered to come with her, you shouldn't have to sit in that awful waiting room alone, honey, she always had an excuse. My mom's coming this week. The sessions are so long, you'd be bored. Actually, David's taking the morning off to come with me. But when I casually asked David about it at our weekly breakfast, just the two of us at the diner on Spring Garden Street, a tradition since he was in college, he seemed confused. Thursday? No. I thought her appointments were Tuesday and Friday. Oh, I must have misremembered, I said lightly. But I hadn't misremembered. Then there were the social media posts. Brittany was active on Instagram. I'd reluctantly joined the platform at David's urging so I could see photos of Mason. But her posts during her cancer treatment showed a woman out for coffee with friends, at the King of Prussia Mall shopping, at a spa day for her friend's birthday. Don't cancer patients feel sick? Tired? I knew I shouldn't judge. Everyone handles illness differently, but combined with everything else, the doubt grew. The breaking point came on week 12. I'd gone to pick up medication at the CVS on Lancaster Avenue when I saw her. Brittany, standing in the vitamin aisle, looking perfectly healthy, laughing on the phone, no headscarf, hair glossy and thick, professionally colored with expensive-looking highlights. She didn't see me. I stood frozen behind the greeting card display, watching as she grabbed a bottle of prenatal vitamins. For hair and nail growth, I heard her tell whoever was on the phone and headed to checkout. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, Tom's side of the bed cold and empty. I missed him more than ever. Tom would have known what to do. Tom would have cut through my emotions and seen the truth. At 3 a.m., I made a decision. The next morning, I called Marcus Chen, a private investigator whose firm had worked with my accounting office on fraud cases over the years. I'd helped send more than one embezzler to prison with the evidence Marcus had gathered. "Linda Morrison," he said warmly when I walked into his office in Center City. "Haven't seen you since you retired. How's retirement treating you? I need your help, Marcus. And I need discretion." I told him everything. He listened without interrupting, taking notes in a leather-bound notebook. When I finished, he looked at me with a sympathy that made my eyes burn. "How long do you need?" I asked. "Give me a week." It took him 5 days. I'll never forget sitting in his office, looking at the folder he slid across his desk. My hands shook as I opened it. No cancer diagnosis at Pennsylvania Hospital, no treatment at Penn Medicine, no oncologist named Dr. Stephanie Walsh, the name Brittany had given us in the entire Philadelphia medical system. But there was evidence of something else. Bank statements showing deposits from 4 other elderly individuals in the past 2 years. A pattern of medical emergencies and treatment costs that matched what she'd done to me. Photos of Brittany at expensive restaurants, luxury shopping trips, a weekend in Miami with someone who definitely wasn't my son. And the worst part, records showing this wasn't her first time. Brittany Parker, her maiden name, had been investigated in Arizona 3 years ago for a similar scam. The case had been dropped when the victim, an elderly woman with dementia, died before trial. She'd come to Philadelphia for a fresh start. She'd met David on a dating app. She'd seen a lonely widower with a stable job and a mother with money. She'd seen marks, not family. Marcus put his hand over mine as I stared at the documents. "What do you want to do, Linda?" "I want to protect my son and my grandson. And I want to make sure she never does this to anyone else. Then we need to be smart about this. If we confront her directly, she'll run. We need to catch her in the act." That's when we devised the plan. I called Brittany that evening. "Honey, I've been thinking. This treatment is taking so long, and I know money is tight. I want to give you access to my savings account. That way, when you need funds for treatment, you don't have to wait for me to transfer it. You can just withdraw what you need." I could hear the excitement in her voice, barely disguised as gratitude. "Linda, that's so generous. Are you sure?" "Of course. Your family. I'll set it up this week." I coordinated with Mr. Rodriguez at First National Bank. We set up the account access, but with flags that would alert him immediately if any withdrawal over $5,000 was attempted. We installed software that would notify us of any online transfer requests. And we had Marcus monitoring Brittany's patterns. She'll move fast, Marcus predicted. Scammers like this get greedy once they have access. She'll want the big score before anyone catches on. He was right. On day 3, Marcus called me at 8:47 a.m. She's at the bank. Right now. Attempting to transfer $340,000 to an account in her name only. She told the teller it's for a specialized cancer treatment facility in Mexico. My hands went numb. My entire life savings. Everything Tom and I had built. Gone in one transaction. "I'm calling Detective Chen at the police department," Marcus said. "Meet us there, now." Which is how I ended up in that bank lobby, watching my daughter-in-law commit fraud while wearing a fake headscarf to complete the illusion of her fake cancer. Detective Chen moved first. He approached the counter with his badge out. "Brittany Morrison? I'm Detective Chen with the Philadelphia Police Department. I need you to step away from the counter, please." The color drained from Brittany's face. For a moment, I thought she might run. Her eyes darted to the exit, then to me, standing with Marcus near the entrance. "What's going on?" she stammered. "I'm just getting money for my treatment." "Mrs. Morrison, we have documentation proving you don't have cancer," Detective Chen said calmly. "We have medical records showing no diagnosis. We have bank statements showing fraud against multiple victims. And we have enough evidence to arrest you right now for wire fraud, theft, and elder financial abuse." "I don't understand," she started, but her voice cracked. Mr. Rodriguez had printed out the transfer request. $340,000 to an account labeled B. Parker Medical Fund, using her maiden name so David wouldn't see it on shared account alerts. Why? The word came out of me before I could stop it. I stepped forward, Marcus's hand on my elbow to steady me. "Why did you do this to us? David loves you. We welcomed you into our family. That's my grandson you're hurting." For just a second, I saw something flicker across her face. Shame, maybe, or just annoyance at getting caught. "You don't understand what it's like," she hissed, all pretense dropping. "Your generation had everything handed to you. Houses you bought for $50,000 that are worth $1 million now. Pensions, Social Security that actually works. My generation? We have nothing. So yeah, I took from people who had plenty. You'd barely miss it." "I worked for 40 years for that money," I said, my voice shaking. "My husband worked himself into an early grave at that construction company. Every penny was earned. And you stole it while pretending to be dying? While making my son believe he was losing his wife? While making me believe I was losing my daughter-in-law?" She just stared at me. And I realized the truth. She didn't care. She'd never cared. We were never family to her. We were always just marks. Detective Chen arrested her there in the bank lobby. They found evidence of her scam in her purse, fake medical bills with forged hospital letterheads, a fake prescription pad she'd used to create medication receipts, even a receipt from a costume shop where she'd bought the wigs she'd worn to convince other victims she was undergoing chemo. The worst part, and there were many worst parts, was telling David. I drove to his office in King of Prussia. He came down to the lobby, smiling, probably thinking this was a nice surprise visit from Mom. "David, honey, we need to talk, somewhere private." I saw the exact moment he knew. The smile died. His face went gray. "Is it Mason? Is something wrong with Mason?" "Mason's fine, he's at daycare. But, David, I need you to sit down." We found an empty conference room. I told him everything. I watched my son break apart in real time. "She was never sick?" His voice was barely a whisper. "The cancer was fake? All of it?" "I'm so sorry, honey." The nights I stayed up with her, holding her hair, he stopped. "She said she was throwing up from chemo. Was that fake too?" "I don't know, baby. I don't know what was real and what wasn't." "Mason." David's head snapped up, fear in his eyes. "Is Mason even mine?" That I could answer, at least. Marcus had DNA testing done with samples from Mason's pediatrician, with legal authorization. Mason is biologically yours. She didn't fake that. David put his head in his hands and sobbed. My successful, strong, brilliant son reduced to this, and I couldn't fix it. I couldn't make it better. I could only sit beside him and hold him while he grieved the wife who'd never existed. The legal process moved surprisingly quickly. With the evidence, Marcus had gathered bank records, fake documents, testimony from other victims who came forward once they learned of her arrest. The district attorney built an airtight case. Brittany's lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal. She'll plead to lesser charges in exchange for... No deal, I told the DA. She targeted elderly people. She faked cancer. She manipulated my son and exploited my grandson. I want the full charges. The DA, a sharp woman named Patricia Reyes, smiled grimly. That's what I was hoping you'd say. During the investigation, we discovered the full scope. Brittany had scammed 5 elderly people, 4 women and 1 man, out of a combined $890,000 over 3 years. The Arizona case had been just the beginning. She'd refined her technique, choosing victims carefully. Widows and widowers with money, people who were lonely, people who wanted to help. The Phoenix victim's daughter contacted me after seeing news coverage. My mother died still believing Brittany was a sweet girl who just had bad luck, she told me over the phone, crying. Mom left her $50,000 in her will, for her medical costs. I couldn't prove anything, so Brittany got it. Thank you for stopping her. That conversation haunted me. How many others had there been that we didn't know about? The trial lasted 2 weeks. I sat in that courtroom every single day. David couldn't, the pain was too fresh, but he wanted me to be his eyes and ears. I took notes in a little notebook, just like I used to do auditing financial statements, documenting everything. When Brittany took the stand, her lawyer had dressed her in a simple blue dress, minimal makeup, trying to make her look sympathetic, young, misguided rather than malicious. But then the prosecutor put up the photos Marcus had gathered. Brittany in Miami, champagne in hand, wearing a designer dress. Brittany at the casino in Atlantic City, betting my money on poker. Brittany's social media posts complaining about broke people and suckers who fall for anything. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts: wire fraud, theft, elder financial abuse, identity fraud for the fake medical documents. Judge Morrison, no relation, but David grimaced at the coincidence, sentenced her to 12 years in federal prison, and ordered restitution of all stolen funds plus damages. As they led her away, Brittany looked back at me. For a moment, our eyes met. I don't know what she saw in my face. Anger? Satisfaction? Mostly, I felt tired. And sad for the family that could have been, if she'd been a different person. The story should end there, but it doesn't. Because there was Mason to think about. David filed for divorce immediately and for sole custody. Brittany's parental rights were terminated, given her incarceration and the fraud that had targeted her own family. But David was struggling. He was working full-time, dealing with the emotional fallout, trying to be present for his son. "Mom, can I ask you something?" he said one Sunday afternoon. We were at my house. Mason was napping upstairs in what had been David's childhood bedroom. "Anything, honey. Would you consider... I know it's a lot to ask. But would you help me with Mason? Not just babysitting. Really help. I can't do this alone, and I don't trust daycare right now. I don't trust anyone." I looked at my son, my boy who'd been hurt so badly, and at my grandson sleeping upstairs, innocent in all of this chaos. "I'll do better than help," I said. "Move in with me. Both of you. This house is too big for just me anyway. Mason can have the bedroom upstairs. We'll convert the den into a room for you. Between my retirement savings, well, what's left of it and your salary, we'll be fine." "Mom, I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm offering. Family takes care of family. That's what your father would have wanted. That's what I want." So they moved in. It's been 4 months now. The house that was so quiet after Tom died is full of life again. Mason's toys scattered in the living room. David's work stuff spread across the dining table. The sounds of a toddler's laughter echoing through rooms that had been silent too long. I still work part-time consulting for my old accounting firm. They like having me review fraud cases given my expertise now. David's therapy is helping. He started dating again recently, though he's cautious, understandably. And Mason? Mason is thriving. He calls me Gamma and follows me around the house while I cook, just like David used to. Every Tuesday, I make pot roast. Every Wednesday, the 3 of us go to the park. Every Sunday, we have family dinner, sometimes just us, sometimes with David's friends, slowly building a new community, a new family. Last week, Detective Chen called. They'd found 2 more victims of Brittany's scams through pattern analysis of her banking records. Both had died before the investigation, never knowing they'd been conned. But their families were grateful to finally have answers. "Would you be willing to speak with them?" he asked. "Share your experience? I think it would help." I spent an hour on the phone with each family. We cried together. We shared our stories. One of them, a woman about my age whose father had been victimized, said something that stuck with me. "You know what the worst part is? He died still defending her, still saying we were wrong about her. She'd convinced him we were just jealous of their special friendship." I knew that feeling. The isolation, the self-doubt, the worry that maybe I was the problem. "You saved your son," she told me. "You saved your grandson. You stopped her before she destroyed your whole family. That takes courage." I don't know about courage, I just know about love, and about trusting your instincts when something feels wrong, and about doing the hard thing even when it's easier to look away. Tonight, I'm making pot roast again. David will be home from work at 6. Mason will help me set the table, which means putting forks in approximately the right places while chattering about his day at preschool. We'll eat dinner together, a family rebuilt from the ashes of betrayal. I look at the photos on my mantle. Tom and me on our wedding day. David as a baby. David's graduation. Mason's first birthday. And one new photo, David, Mason, and me at the park last Sunday, all 3 of us laughing at Mason's attempt to blow dandelion seeds. No Brittany in any of these photos. She's been edited out, just like she'll be edited out of our lives and memories as much as possible. But I won't forget the lessons. Trust your instincts. Verify what seems wrong. Protect your family fiercely. And know that sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who pretend to love you. If you're reading this or listening to this story, and something feels off about someone in your life, trust that feeling. Document everything. Seek help. Don't let them isolate you from the truth. And know that it's never too late to protect the people you love. Even when you're 64 years old and retired, even when you feel powerless, you're not powerless. You're stronger than you think. My name is Linda Morrison, and this is my story. This really happened, and I'm sharing it because somewhere out there, there's another Brittany looking for her next victim. Another family about to be destroyed. And maybe, just maybe, my story will help someone see the truth before it's too late. That pot roast is smelling good. I should check on it. Mason will be up from his nap soon, and he'll want his gamma cuddles before dinner. Life goes on. Families heal. And justice, when it comes, is sweet.